Oh, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, comrades, this is Kenya Revolutionary. I hope you're doing well, wherever you are. It's a nice Monday. And I hope you're doing well, wherever you are, as I said. If you are joining in from Kenya, if you're joining in from Europe, if you're joining in from China, if you're joining in from whatever part of this earth that you reside in, karibu sana for another session. Missed this weekend, took 2 days off from politics and politricks just to come back to it on a Monday. So I hope you have a good Monday. I know Monday is not everyone's favorite day, but hey, it is what it is. So karibuni sana, whatever you're joining me, I'm going to give you a few minutes. If you're just getting home from work and you just got home, you're trying to relax, kunywa chai ya saa 10 or jioni, relax, have a seat, turn this on, like the video. That's the first order of business. As you know, you like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, this is your first time, please go ahead and subscribe. I'll be here for approximately an hour, more or less, depending on how it goes. I just have a few things that I need to put out of my chest. And based on how the conversation goes, I might invite some people in the studio. Just depends on how it goes, all right? We freestyle over here. We just go with the wind. Not really, but it's organized chaos. Anyway, so today I just want to touch on a few things regarding Kenyan politics. As you can see, the subject matter today is Ruto and Raila went to Rwanda, took a trip to Rwanda to participate in Kagame's inauguration, presidential inauguration, that is. Then Babu Owino is kind of hinting that he wants to leave ODM. We don't know. We'll look into that. Then Wamalwa and Kalonzo, as you know, they're still crying over, ODM has joined the government, blah, 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 blah. You know the song, right? We'll also touch on that, okay? And also everything else that goes in between. There's a lot happening, actually. A lot of things are happening. I just saw a video by one of the Kenyan police who made a TikTok video. And he alluded to the fact that during this Mandamano, especially the last ones on Wednesday, Nane, it was not only Kenyan police that were involved in this. In fact, he claims that Ugandan police officers were part of this whole, police force, and they were being paid more than the Kenyan police. Which kind of makes you think, why will they pay the Ugandan forces more than the Kenyan police? Okay, this is something that's, I don't know. Historically, in Mandamanos, we've always had rumors that Ugandan police are involved in Mandamano, but I never really took it serious. I know during when Kenyatta was, the first, not the first Kenyatta, but the second Kenyatta, Uhuru Kenyatta was the president. During the Mandamanos, it is said that a lot of police forces were brought in from Uganda. These guys, their English was funny, especially they were deployed in Western Kenya, okay? Kisumu, Busia, whatever. Remember those Mandamano that were happening during 2017 election, even 2007. It is said that a lot of Ugandans, police officers, were, soldiers actually, who masqueraded as Kenyan police, were used to quell the uprising that happened in Western Kenya, in Kisumu in particular, the hotspots in Western province. Because if you remember, the Western province and the Nyanza province was up in smoke. Like, people were really, really upset about the loss of Raila Odinga. So this is not something new. But to hear it from one of the police officers, I don't know how. He's probably going to get fired or get killed or abducted or just tapotea, because what he revealed was kind of, I was, it was shocking. It was shocking to me at least, for somebody to come on camera and boldly state that. I think his frustration stems from the fact that these foreign police officers, so to speak, the Ugandans, were paid higher salary or higher price. They had profits, more money than they were being paid more money than the Kenyan police. So that was his frustration. Actually, let me show you that clip real quick as we get started, okay? As we get started, get in. The first order of business, as I said, please like, share, comment, and do all the good stuff that you need to be doing, right? All right. Let me just start with that video, that short video. It's short. So bear with me. Like the video, please. Karibu sana. Like I say, I won't be here for long, but I'll just, mention some things. All right, here it is. Let me just show you that video by that police officer. Which is, it's sad.
Sikufurahia hao mapolisi wa Uganda.
Here.
Kuna mapolisi walitujoin huko kwa nini? Huko kwa ground huko. Wakati tulikuwa tunakibiza watu tunatia gas. Sasa mimi nasema sikufurahia hao mapolisi wa Uganda wenye walikuwa wamekuja kutujoin. Wanakuja kukula mshahara yetu na wanapewa pesa mingi sana kutuliko. No why? Nakuja hapa kusema.
You heard that. For those of you who don't.
Kuna mapolisi walitujoin huko kwa nini? Huko kwa ground huko. Wakati tulikuwa tunakibiza watu tunatia gas. Sasa mimi nasema sikufurahia hao mapolisi wa Uganda wenye walikuwa wamekuja kutujoin. Wanakuja kukula mshahara yetu na wanapewa pesa mingi sana kutuliko. No why? Nakuja hapa kusema.
Okay. So for those of you who don't understand Swahili or Kiswahili, he's basically saying that he was not happy, and he is not happy with the fact that there were some Ugandan police officers who joined them to help, tear gas people and all that stuff they were doing, and they were getting paid more than the Kenyan police. So he's not happy about that. Now, for him to come on camera and really say that on camera, I don't know if he knew he was being recorded or this was a secret recording, but that's bold of him. That's really bold of him because, it's always, they try to make it a secret that, it should be, there's Ugandan help. Like I said, and now it makes sense. There's absolutely no way you can get Kenyan police. I'm not saying the Kenyan police cannot commit atrocities or the kind of excessive force that we saw. I mean, anyone who was gathering together, any group or any group of people who were gathering together, they're being tear gas. They will not let you congregate. But I said it before the day 99. I said it that if Ruto makes mistake of bringing up the Kenyan army, Kenyan Defense Forces, and this thing successfully goes on, they'll turn against him because the Kenyan army historically usually stands with the people. Army are trained to fight foreign military, groups or militia or whatever the case is. They are not trained to deal with civilians. Okay, so it will be very challenging for army people to come in and just try to shoot up, wananchi. Okay, that's why you saw the last time, even when the army were called, they had to tell the police to stop shooting at the people. Okay, and the people started cheering them on, and the army even walisindikiza watu nyumbani. So you see that. Now, secondly, it will be, I think they thought about it, and I told you the government thought through this thing. They had their own plan. There's no way the police, especially the police who live around Nairobi, policing, usually the police, it's better to have police from one area. Let's say if you live in Nairobi, okay, Nairobi, let me just say Nairobi, just let me use Kibera. It's better to use the police forces that are nearest to Kibera, who live around Kibera area, because they know about the community. Okay, that's how best policing works. So in the event where there's any kind of trouble, civil unrest, if they have built in a better relationship with the people that they are policing, it's easier to quell the situation. You see? So Ruto understood that and most of the time, you realize that you hear news that whenever there's a protest somewhere, let's say Kisumu, which is notoriously known to be a strong opposition stronghold, okay? If there's a maandamano in Kisumu, majority of the police force that will be used to calm the situation down, I'm just using their word, will not be police from Kisumu. Why? Because the government, especially Kenyan government to be precise, they want to use excessive force, and they know that the police from the Kisumu area will be hesitate to use excessive force against people who they know they've dealt with. So it's hard for them morally to go against them, to shoot them down and brutalize them, even though that happens sometimes. But it's hard for Kisumu residents, police who reside in Kisumu, to shoot down fellow Kisumu residents. So usually what the government does is, if they know the Kisumu is a hot hotbed for the maandamano, they will bring police forces from Nairobi or Eldoret or Busia, because they don't have any attachment to the people of Kisumu. So they will shoot you and not think twice. You understand what I'm saying? So the same thing applies with this whole thing with Ugandan forces that are said or rumored to be involved in this maandamano. The government know that, even though the police from Nairobi would be out there and try to quell things up, they'll be hesitant when it comes to shooting fellow Nairobi residents, because they live in Nairobi. So if they are identified, their family will be in trouble, whatever they can be. You see what I'm saying? But if you bring somebody from Uganda, if you hire a couple of people from Uganda who have absolutely no feelings, no attachment whatsoever, emotionally or whatever, Kali, with the people that you're interacting with, then, you have this antagonistic relationship between the people and the police. And these guys were basically guns for hire. They come in there and shoot to kill. They don't care. After that, they fly back to Uganda or drive back to Uganda and don't think twice about it, because they don't have to worry about repercussions. It's not like the Kenyan government will go and investigate, call Museveni and say, hey, listen. Probably Museveni was briefed on these police officers being brought in Kenya. So you see what I'm saying? That's why these people bring in police from outside the country to do their dirty job in Kenya. And again, it's unfortunate because no one investigates these things. Or rather, if there's an investigation, it will go nowhere. It will be thwarted. It will be, we'll give you report in 3 months. Remember the death of Ogola? They told us that they'll give us report in 3 months. Wapi your report? Nothing. So you see what I'm saying? But this is a serious issue, because now Museveni should answer questions. What happened? Why do we have some Ugandan people in our police force shooting Kenyan civilians, peaceful civilians who are protesting peaceably? Those are the questions that we should be asking, okay? But no one is asking that. No one cares. People are just saying mandamano. Yeah. That's one of the things that I'm saying, especially now that we exposed, that 99 exposed that the police are absolutely in violation of civil liberties, especially for the Mandamanians, okay? The Gen Zs. Speaking of Gen Zs, the voice, the face, the person who's been propped up by the media as the face of Gen Z was on Spice FM, none other than Mark Oure, whatever his name, Kasmuel Oure, whatever his name is. I can't even say his name. But I told you before, this guy, he's saying all the good stuff. He talks nice, but, and I say big but, I have some questions for him. I do, like I said, there's something about this kid that just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know what it is, but there is something. There is something. And there's a clip. I'm yet to see the whole interview at Spice FM, so I really don't know what's happened there. I mean, I didn't listen to the whole interview. I will watch it later due to time being caught up. But the little bit that I had when Eric was asking him a question and his answer raised more questions than answers. Okay? Now, I'll play you that clip, then I will tell you why I have some questions for Casmuel, or I'm questioning how this guy, like I told you, there's nothing wrong with him having ambitions of becoming a politician in the future. That's perfectly fine. He has the right to associate with whomever he wants to associate. Okay? If he wants to associate himself with the Gen Z movement, well and good. But again, we were told that Gen Z is tribeless, partyless, and something else, leaderless. Okay? But you see, the first question I asked the last time I said, why is it that the media is propping up this kid as the leader of the Gen Z? Again, he was on Spice FM. I mentioned people who have said radical things, who are I consider real opposition, who are really opposing the system. Okay, for example, Miguna. You know, when Miguna was taking on the government of the day, even when he came back from Canada after, years of forced exile, okay, he was blacklisted from any major media because he was exposing the government of the day and the leaders who were, there before, the same players who still have influence in Kenya. So what they did was, okay, Muguna, you can come back, but all the major media stations blacklisted Miguna. Yani, he was not to get any airtime. You cannot bring him on any major mainstream media to debate or provide his analysis of what's going on in Kenya. Because remember, when they did that during Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, Uhuru Ruto regime, the past 10 years, he was embarrassing anyone that had a debate with him. I mean, he was exposing them. And this did not sit well with the political class, so to speak. So that's why I'm saying, anytime we have a real revolutionary, someone who's really up to proposing a total overhaul of the system in Kenya, of this corrupt system in Kenya, they never get airtime in the mainstream media, whatever you want to call it. The KTN, K24, Spice FM. You see what I'm saying? What our party nafasi. And even if they do, they will try to get you to sign whatever before you go there. So you cannot say a couple of things, or they can twist you, whatever you say, whatever. You see what I'm saying? But this guy, like I said, he's saying everything right. He qualifies, yes, he's a Gen Z or whatever the case is. But he had that fake, what is it called? Abduction, that he told us he got abducted, but we all know he did not get abducted. Nobody saw him get abducted. Then he showed up after a few days, still wearing his suits. And even the first or second in the Neo, Mandamano, he was in the middle of the streets with whatever thing, giving a speech, drawing an audience, And before you know it, he's in Al Jazeera. He's in, all these morning talk shows in Kenya. Who is providing this platform? Why are they providing this platform to this guy? But again, he's sticking to the script by saying, yes, they're leaderless. Nini less. It's as if they're saying we are leaderless, but I'm kind of the leader, kind of. I'm the leader without saying that I'm the leader. Like they're propping him up as the leader. Now listen to this this clip that actually raised more questions for me than answers, okay? Because I was like, because remember, in order to infiltrate an organization, the people who are hired are brought in to infiltrate the movement. They will not come in with their shirt written infiltrators. They will speak the same language as you are. They will advocate for the very things you're advocating for. But like I said, their goal might be different from yours. Now let's take a listen to this Makoure guy or Kasmuel, or whatever the case is. I'm not saying he's fake or whatever the case, but I'm just saying I just don't trust him. Regardless of what he's saying, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why in a minute. I will tell you why in a minute. Let's get to it. Here is a clip from him. Here it is. All right. I guess this was earlier today, this morning.
And it comes up every time there's an election. We need better governance.
Right.
We need better leadership.
Right.
And it comes up every time there's an election. The people are like, you know what? We are looking for a better leader, better solution, better way of moving. We just don't see that we are recycling the same people.
Right.
But yeah, this has helped us to see that as well.
Yes.
If you do not have a sustained voice,
yes,
like we saw in May, June, then we may just get back into May, June last year.
Right.
Where, it was the same issues. People are saying we need IDs, we need passports, we need job opportunities, we need a government that serves the people, we need a government that listens, we need our debts to be audited, and we need all those questions were there.
Right.
How do you sustain this?
I think, and I'm very optimistic when I say that the thing has not died in any way, shape, or form, in the sense that we are currently organizing at the grassroots levels, at community centers, where you don't now have to be in Nairobi. Bunge la Mwananchi, you could attend it from anywhere. We're going through those bunges and first listen to the people. When you have an opportunity, you go and present this petition, this form, wherever it is that you're going to be. And we've seen that the government is also very keen, because before we did Nane Nane, on Wednesday and Tuesday, we had, on Wednesday specifically, we had about 10 people's assemblies. And they were all violently dispersed. We'd have cases of police raiding social justice centers, the offices. We've had individuals who we've had to even move from their houses because they've been directly targeted. So it cannot die because there's structure at those community levels. At the social justice centers, there are very clear structures. And that's why I keep on insisting on, you have to submit to a collective. You will not, at this point, for us to keep on going with the change that we're agitating for, you will not just be allowed to put out a poster because you are a graphic designer or because you have 100,000 followers on X. We will not allow it. We've said, submit yourself to a collective. Go and say, this is my idea. Then the people are going to tell you whether or not we are marching forward. Because right now, you've seen a lot of people are now putting out posters saying, Mandamano yesterday, Mandamano today. Now you expect, and this is the expectation, that these leading voices should be there. So there's a young person who's saying, Casmo, give me direction. Yeah. And I'm like, no, do not go for that protest, because these are innocent children. And we've seen that the police force is not willing to deal with these people as unarmed citizens.
Okay. So the first point he makes is like, he says, if you have an idea, you have to submit to a collective. Basically, he's saying you have to be part of a group, part of the organization, whatever that organization is. Then he goes on and says, So he says you cannot just make posters and tell us that Mandamano is tomorrow. Okay, you come join a group, the collective, whatever the case is, whatever you want to call them, and tell us your ideas. Then we shall approve and see. Let the people see if they agree with your ideas or not. That's a red flag right there. That's a freaking red flag out there. That's number one. Two, then he says, everyone is no one should be listening to anyone who comes out with a poster saying tomorrow there's a Mandamano, because there are kids who are coming to me and telling me, hey, should I, what's the way forward? And I tell them, hey, don't go to that Mandamano, because the police are not going to deal with them as unarmed citizens. Okay, here it is. Number one, your whole mantra of Gen Z is you are leaderless, partyless, tribeless. Right. Let's hold you to that. You're leaderless, partyless, tribeless. Okay. Why should people, first of all, submit to a collective? The meeting point, the sharing of ideas was happening in this virtual meeting that they had initially, called this the X Spaces, okay? Where people met, virtually, and discussed how they would move forward, how they will conduct a mandamano, when it will be, how the if and bolts and nuts of how the mandamano will take place, what they'll do, right? Isn't that the collective already? Isn't that the virtual collective that you're talking about? I mean, you talk about collective being part of, you have to submit to this collective. Isn't that the collective already? People who have the same interests meet and discuss how they're going to, where they're going to meet, if they're going to have flags and stuff, right? Okay? So already that's happening. Now, if you're tribeless, partyless, leaderless, who are you, Mark Oure Kasmuel, whatever his name is, Kasmuel? Who are you to tell a kid that you cannot go to that mandamano because somebody put a poster, there's a mandamano tomorrow? I mean, who are you what's your position on this movement? You told us there's no leadership, there's no tribe, there's no leader, there's no party. So you're telling that kid not to go to that mandamano as who? What's your position? Who are you? What gives you the authority to tell that kid, oh, don't go to that mandamano? Because you're a figure that has been appearing on these TV shows? Is that because you're the face of the movement? But you're not a leader, you're tribeless, and you're partyless. So why would you tell that kid not to go to mandamano? Oh, wait. You just told him, because if that kid goes to mandamano, the police will not be treating him like an unarmed citizen. Well, when the Gen Zs were going to the streets, even initially, they were well aware, cognizant of the fact that the Kenyan police will not be greeting you with flowers. Anyone who lives in Kenya who wants to go to a mandamano has a very clear understanding that if you're going to agonize, and head to the streets, you are probably going to be met by a police force who are going to tear gas you, abduct you, harass you, or even worse. So it's not like these kids who are asking you for mandamano, to go to mandamano, do not know what comes with it. So why tell them they cannot go? Now, initially, how did people find out about Nane Nane? How did people find out about June 25th or whatever the case? How did people find out about Tuesdays and Thursdays going to mandamano? It was through majority social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Somebody posted those, made those posters, whatever, graphic designers or whatever the case you want to call it, and they put it there, wakasema, Nane Nane tukutane Tuesday, CBD downtown Nairobi or countrywide. Okay, so let's again, going back to your whole mantra, tribeless, leaderless, and partyless. So if I, a designer, a graphic designer that you so abhor or disapprove of, decide that, hey, listen, I feel like we should have a mandamano downtown in Kirinyaga. I'm just using an example. That's just a name. Kirinyaga or Kitui, whatever the case is. If I make a post and say mandamano Kitui on Thursday, blah, 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 the same, whatever date, who are you, Makoure, to tell me that we should not go to that mandamano? Again, tribeless, partyless, leaderless. Who are you to tell that kid not to go to that mandamano? If anything, if the mandamano is about social justice, the tanking economy, whatever, okay, the same thing the Gen Zs have been championing for, why stop them? If anything, help them, encourage, Help them organize this thing. It's not like you don't know what they're going to face in the streets. Those Gen Zs, when they went out on June 25th, they knew very well that they were going to be met with tear gas, na mabunduki, na abductions. They understood that. So why tell somebody otherwise? Which means it shows me that, which shows me that you want people to go to Mandamano when you feel it's convenient. Right? That's what it sounds like. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong. To me, it sounds like somebody wants to be the leader of this so-called leaderless movement. If we decide as a people of Kitui, we want to meet on Thursday to Maandamana because we feel like Kitui, there's a lot of corruption. We don't like what the president is doing there, or the CS or whatever the governor is. What's wrong with that? That's why I ask, when that kid asked you to go to Mandamano, why did you tell him not to go to the Mandamano? Because you can't tell me that, they were going to face a brutal police force. They knew that. They know that. All the Mandamanos that have been happening in Kenya, majority of those Mandamano always are met with force from the police force. Tear gas, abductions, and even worse. You see what I'm saying? So who are you telling? Why are you telling people they have to submit to a collective? I understand the whole point of going to the ground and organizing whatever, the structures that are there that you just mentioned. I get that part. But if you are leaderless, partyless, and tribeless, who are you speaking as? Who appointed you the leader? Mr. Casmuel? You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying this thing sounds like somebody's really pushing this kid to be the leader of the so-called Gen Z. And that's why I started by saying, why is the media really pushing this face, giving him platform? National TV, Al Jazeera, everywhere. He's always well-dressed, ready for action. Very dressed. And number two, of all the abductions that has been happening, okay, some of them were kind of, we were like kind of questioning them. Casmel has never been abducted. We know how Ruto operates. The day before Mandamano, or the day after, or the during, they usually target you. Yes, we saw him running by the police, walimfukuza kaingia nation media. But all this time after really so-called challenging, being the face of this movement, being vocal, out there, Ruto hajafikiria abduct, apelekwe DCI ulizwe maswali. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm telling you. This kid, I do not, there's something up with this kid. Something. I can't quite put my finger on it. That's just something. Casmuel. Casmuel. You're leaderless, but you want to tell people they should submit to a collective, or they cannot go to this Mandamano, they have to go to this Mandamano, or they can do this, but you're leaderless and you're partyless and you're tribeless. Wewe, Casmuel, wewe. And again, you talk a good talk. Like I say, you're saying all the right thing, advocating for the very things that everybody's advocating for. But who gave you the authority to tell somebody they cannot go to a Mandamano? Who told you that somebody cannot make a poster saying that next week kuna Mandamano? Why should you tell them to stop and not go to that Mandamano? If I decide to make a poster that says next Thursday Kitui kutakuwa na Mandamano, Gen Zs, join me if you can. What's wrong with that? If we are fighting for the same goals, what's wrong with that? Why do you want to stop that? And who are you to stop that? What is your position? Because this movement has no hierarchy. So who are you to tell them they cannot do that? Karibu sana Bobby Caesar. Nice seeing you, brother. That's the question I ask. Just because you're wearing a suit and the media is taking up to your, inviting you everywhere. That's what I'm saying. You've been vocal for a while. You've been up there. You've been, your face has been out there. I'll give you that. Cloud chasing umepata maclout. You have the clout now. Nikikuona vile Boniface alishikwa, you are speaking there with his wife, advocating whatever. The Kenyan Communist Party vile walikuwa natoa watu, you are part of it. I saw you giving a speech. You are everywhere. You are on all television shows. Who's giving you this access? And why? Who's behind you? And why is it that while all of these people are being abducted, wanaingizwa huko siku tatu, siku mbili, siku nne, we've never heard of Kasmuel kushikwa. He has never been caught, never been abducted, but he is out there. Yeah? Wewe kijana, wewe. Like I said, I'm not against what you're saying, but there's some things that I've mentioned that makes me question who you are and your real intentions. Because to me, if a young man comes to me and says, hey, niliona posta ingine huko ati on Thursday, maandamano watu wakutane downtown, I'll be like, yes. By the way, yo maandamano ni ya nini? What are you, mna maandamano ya nini? Yo posta iko wapi? Oh, it's about nini yo? Okay, ni maandamano about police brutality. Wale watu walikufa 8-8, watu walikufa June 25th, watu walikufa wakina Rex walikufa. Is that the maandamano about? Sawa basi, I'll join you. Why not? I'm part of Gen Z. I'm part of the movement. Why tell that kid, mwezi enda hiyo nini yo? You have to approve it? Or who are these collective you're talking about? Is there a committee that I don't know about? Is there a hierarchy that I didn't know about? You're leaderless, right? Where? No, I'm not. Those are my red flags with this guy. I'm telling you, like I said, he has never been detained. The detention that he was talking about was fake. We now know it was fake. He has never been detained. He's what? Because he is great. That's why he has never been caught. Great in the sense of what? How great? What makes him great? Can you help me? I'm open. I'm not against him. I just want to. How is he great? Like, what makes him great? Because he debates on TV with nitwits. Because he's eloquent. He dresses nice. What makes him great? What exactly has he accomplished that makes him great? I'm just asking these questions because I'm. Ay. Because he's a great sprinter, he has never been caught. Ay, Bobby, wewe. Nice sense of humor. I saw the video. I'll give him that. He ran. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not, talking him down and saying he's a bad guy or whatever the case is. That's not the point I'm making. I just question the things that he's saying, where he's coming from, and how come this guy is really being promoted by the media as the face, the leader of Gen Z. That's my only question. Because to me, if the main street media, which is controlled by a majority of the political class, are basically running the main street media, if they are promoting you, that's a problem to me. Wakina Kamuzi were only known in the Twitter sphere, which I get, because Twitter sphere, social medias are very hard to control. Okay? Yes. Thank you. Joseph Odera, karibu sana. I get your point. It's always about my interest. We may not even know. Only time will tell. Absolutely. And that's the thing. We might not know. And we might, it will be like the Raila, Atakuja might think he's with us. Then the last minute, anabwaga. Then all of you are discouraged. You're like, you see what I'm saying? To me, when he say that little clip, when he said that he told the kid not to knee and you submit to this collective, that's where, the red flag was really red at that point. And I said, hold up, wait a minute, uno momento. Who are you? Who gave you the authority to dismiss anyone that makes a poster that we are going to have a Mandaman? Who gave you the authority to tell a young man not to go to Mandaman? Who? No, he says, he says that a young man, based on the clip, he said that a young man came and asked him the way forward, and he's saying that he will not lead a young man to a mandamano that he saw, that the information, based on the information that young man got on the internet, a poster that has been designed showing that there's a mandamano on such a date. So Casmuel is saying that people should not follow. Listen, let me just rephrase that. He said that people should not, just because someone has the ability, is a graphic designer and is posting that there's a mandamano on a certain day, people should not just follow that person, follow what is posted there in Twitter, because he understands that the police might not treat those protests as well. And my contention is, first of all, majority of these Gen Zs knew that there was a mandamano kwa sababu hizo posters that were being posted on social media. And number two, the whole point he was making about submitting to a collective, that is already was happening because people met on these X spaces on Twitter and other places and agreed to do X, Y, and Z without the approval of Casmuel. So who is he to tell somebody not to make posters about Mandamano? Who is he to stop these young men if they want to go to Mandamano that they saw somewhere on the Twitter? What's his position? Who gave him that authority? He's speaking that as who? Carrington Carey is saying, how do you know that he was abducted? By the way, some of you follow you because you make sense on analysis. But if you start this nonsense of speaking stuff with no facts, I bet you will. Karen Carey. I asked, when was Casmuel abducted? That's number one. When was he abducted? I'm not saying he has been abducted. I ask, when was he abducted? Because it seems that all the suspected leaders of the faces of this Gen Z movement have been abducted, except him. Yes, we saw him run when the police were coming for him. But I'm saying, if he was that much of a threat, being someone who has been vocal and his face has been everywhere in the media, Main Street media, why hasn't he been abducted yet? Yet he's the so-called face of Nenio. Others have. Why not him? And why does he have so much access on this media? Who's propping him up? as the face of this media? That's the question I'm asking. Why is he getting all this limelight from the mainstream media? I don't mind him getting the limelight, but I'm just asking, why is it that the media that is controlled by the political class are really propping this young man as the face of the movement, as the de facto leader of the movement, while they say that this is a faceless, partyless, leaderless, tribeless organization? Two, you say some of you follow me because I make sense on my analysis. I question everything. Now, if that makes you uncomfortable, then I'm sorry, but I have to be honest in my analysis. I have to be honest with how I view things. And I have to pose these questions. That's why I'm asking this question. I will not just sit here and say, yeah, Kasmuel, yes, he's saying the right thing. And I agree with him in everything that he does. Sorry, in everything that he says. But what I question is who is behind him. You understand what I'm saying? Carrie, I don't even know how to say your name. Carrie. Okay? I'm raising the question. Regardless of who he is, we have to question everything and everyone. This is not about people following me. If you're following me because I am pro Gen Z, that's well and good. But even if I'm pro Gen Z, the people who are advocating for these Gen Z's agenda should also be questioned. We have to even clear our house as Gen Z's followers, as pro-Gen Z movement. And if you cannot look at inside even the faces of the so-called Gen Zs, the Kasmuel, the Hanifa, the Nani Mwangi, then I'm sorry you're not being honest with yourself. That's why I said you can even question me. What is my intention? Is my intention just to get a following? Nipate like up and nipate subscribers? No. I'm doing that at the risk of that. You can, if you disagree with me and you feel like my analysis is not of your cup of tea, you're free to unsubscribe. You don't have to follow me. But I have to be honest with myself and any movement that I support. Question everybody. Question myself. Question the people who are advocating what they're saying. I have to question, who are they? Why are they where they are? Why are they saying what they're saying? Where did they come from? What's their background? What's their interaction with the political class? Why is that? The Socratic what? Reasoning. Ask the why, when, who, where. This is not about following people blindly. Yes, we can corral around an ideology. The whole idea of social justice, revolution, a total overhaul of the system, the corrupt system of Kenya. But anyone, any faces that are propped up as the leader of this ideology that we rally around, we should also look at them in depth. That's the point. I hope you understand what I'm saying. This is not a personal attack on him, but we have to question everyone. Okay, and during the record-breaking sprint, why was his escape plan the doors of Nation Center? Bob, yeah. Karin, do you know how many Gen Z abducted now? Why are you just talking about Kasmuel and not Boniface? I'm talking about Kasmuel because of all these so-called faces, or the faces of Gen Z, he's the only one who has never been abducted. He's the only one. Hanifa walienda kwa DCI, Boniface alikuwa abducted, Francis Gaitho was abducted, but not Kasmuel. But he has been on TV shows everywhere. Nation, and he's talking that. What I'm saying is this. if these other people who have been abducted before and detained for the weekend, 2 days, 3 days, 48 hours, whatever hours, they have been saying the same thing Kasmuel has been saying. But how come Kasmuel has never been abducted and he's saying the same thing? If anything, Kasmuel has been more vocal than all these people who have been detained. Why? That's the question I'm asking. So you understand why I'm talking about Kasmuel and not Boniface Mwangi. Boniface Mwangi already left the Ninio. He was making videos about suicide and Akasemati. He's done. Why should I talk about him? He surrendered, basically. You understand? Okay. 95% of Gen Z's so-called mouthpiece were bought off right after the success of the first protest. They've been playing to the gallery ever since as they plug the government on all Gen Z's plans in real time. Wanjiku is back with heavy analysis, takes, charts. Prove to us that Kasmuel has never been detained. I've never had him talk about him being detained since this Gen Z thing started. He came out one day and said he was abducted, but nobody could prove it because he never spoke about his experience. Where did they come for him? Where? What? Where? Everyone who was abducted they said you always see the video, or they'll tell you, or they came at my place at 7:45. There were 2 police officers. They were masked. They got me into a Subaru. They took me down to whatever, Ngong Road, whatever the case is. I stayed there for 48 hours. Then I came back. None of it happened to him. Okay? If you have some information, then hey, he can come here and defend himself. I'll put the link. I'm not against him. I'm just asking questions. Like I said, he says all the good thing. Okay? Says all the good thing. But that clip that I played, that it made the flag redder than it was red. And like I say, I'll go back to this right here. When Jiku is M1Jiku, 95% of Gen Z's so-called mouthpiece were bought off right after the success of the first protest. They've been playing to the gallery ever since as they plug the government on all Gen Z's plans in real time. And you know what? You know how I can connect what M1Jiku has said? Remember Kasmuel in that Ninio said, has just said that any idea that you have to submit to the what? To the collective. Who are these collective? Who are the collective? I thought we already had that. I mean, I believe it was an organic movement where people met at X spaces and other people joined and they discussed what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, whatever. And it carried on from there. It caught fire. So now there's a collective that I have to submit to get approval. 90% of current Gen Z's mouthpiece are bought off. I won't be surprised. Like I'm saying, the reason why, in other words, let me put it like this. Kasmuel, with all the good stuff that he's saying, all the wonderful stuff, all the whatever, he's not looked at as a threat to the government. And my question is why? Because we know this government is very, very, very uncomfortable and insecure. Anyone that has a following that is speaking against it, watakukujia na Subaru. But I remember when this Gen Z movement started, alipotea for one day. And he came in and say, I was abducted. And people are saying he was faking because he never explained when, where was he abducted, what police station did they take him, who came for him, what time, wapi, where, why, who, why, what, when. And you could see from his action from day one, he was always searching for an audience. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing. To me, I don't care if you do all these things. If your heart is in the right place, you're saying the good things, and I'm saying that's why I maintain everything that he says as far as what we, the people, want, Gen Zs want, I agree with. He's making good points. Okay? Does a good job on making his case. But I just question now that he's starting to tell people, oh, you know what? You cannot just post something and say, oh, there's a mandamano there. Oh, wait. You cannot go to that mandamano because the police are brutalizing people. Oh, wait. You have to submit to a collective. Meanwhile, I thought the movement was tribeless, leaderless, and partyless. So who are you to tell me I cannot post that there's a mandamano next Thursday downtown in Kitui? Who are you to tell me that I cannot go to a mandamano next week in Kitui? Who are you to tell me that I have to submit my ideas to the collective? Who are these collectives to approve my ideas? Initially, we were to meet in these X spaces and discuss and talk and share ideas. So who are you, Casmuel? Who are you addressing me as? What's your position? Is there a hierarchy in rank within the Gen Z movement? If it is, why do you have this mantra that it's tribeless, leaderless, and partyless? Because if it's so, then drop that mantra. Say this is a political party with ranks and movement and positions. That's what I mean. That's why I took issue with what he said. And that's why I question where he comes from. Why is the main street media, which is controlled by the very people who are oppressing this country, are propping up this young man as the leader of the Gen Z movement? To a point where he's coming in and telling people that, hey, just because a post is made in Twitter that there's a mandamano next week, do not go to that. You cannot do that anymore. And by the way, if you have some ideas, you have to submit to the collective. As who gave you that authority? Who gave you that authority? Because you wear suits and show up on TV? The revolution is bigger than an individual. It has to be clear. And it has to be maintained. So if the people of Kitui decide they want to go to Mandamano, let the chapter and the people, Gen Zs in Kitui, do what they want to do. We do not need the approval of the so-called collective. The Constitution is our leader. So if I wake up and make a poster that let's go to Mandamano tomorrow in Kisumu downtown, or in Kitui or Kirinyaga downtown, let it be. Whoever shows up, shows up. Whoever doesn't want to show up, don't show up. I don't need approval for Casmuel or any other Hanefa or whoever. That's my point. And if you don't like it, it's okay. It's a democracy. Free speech. But we have to question everyone in this movement. Me included. I'm not the exception. What is my agenda? What is my goal? Ladies and gentlemen, there was so much I wanted to show, but I will save it for the tonight's show because there's a lot of people, there's a lot to talk about. Just like Wanjiku said, 95% of current Gen Z's mouthpieces are bought off. 95% of the Gen Z so-called mouthpiece were bought off right after the success of the first protest. They've been playing to the gallery ever since as they plug the government on all Gen Z's plans in real time. I'm leaning towards that. I would like to associate myself with such sentiments from M. Wanjiku. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 1 hour. Like the video, share, subscribe, comment, and meet me in the evening. 12:30 midnight Kenyan time. You calculate it wherever you live. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kenyan Revolutionary. Thank you very much, M. Wanjiku, Caring Kare, Bobby Caesar, Joseph Odera, and all others that are going to watch this on repeat and who are watched it on real time. Okay? Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, and I will see you in a few hours. Peace and blessings.